Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is Fourth Quarter Lights. Appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, share button if you enjoy this video or if you hate it. Either way, I don't care as long as you like and subscribe to my channel. That is all I care about. Today, we are doing a preview and prediction video for the Georgia versus Tennessee Volunteers game that is coming up tomorrow at 3:30 on CBS. Tennessee has revealed that they are attending a funeral for themselves and have decided to wear their all-black uniforms. Not a very smart idea at all. Tennessee fans have been chirping all week on social media and on their own 247 board and on their own rivals board, and they have a very strange wave of confidence. And I'm not sure where it's from or why they have this huge wave of confidence. I mean, I understand that they currently have a winning season. They're 5-4. I don't know if that's why. I don't know if it's because they beat an actual FBS school. I really don't know where this wave of confidence is because they kind of played good against Alabama for 3 quarters. It's weird. They kind of played good against Florida for 2.5 quarters. I don't know. It's weird. But the fact of the matter, Tennessee beat Kentucky last Saturday, 45-42. Great win. Obviously, their biggest win of the season. Josh Heupel's biggest win in his first year as head coach at Tennessee. And it was an impressive offensive performance. What wasn't impressive is their defense, giving up 42 points to Kentucky. Kentucky's not a very good offensive team. They're just not. I'm sorry. Yeah, they scored 13 points on UGA. It took a 12-minute drive, calling all 3 timeouts, and every bag that Stoops had every trick that he had in his bag, up his sleeve, whatever you want to say. I mean, he threw the kitchen sink at UGA for 12 minutes on the last drive of the game to score a touchdown. The game was 30-7, heading into the fourth quarter. So, okay, they scored 13 points. Well, they scored 42 points on Tennessee. But it was a good win, for Tennessee. Impressive. They won 45-42. What's most impressive is the fact that they only held the ball for 16 minutes in that game, and they scored 45 points. At one point, I believe they had held the ball for 6 minutes and had scored 3 or 4 touchdowns. So they are an extremely fast-paced offense. And they're well coached on offense. But again, the problem with Tennessee comes back to the defense. And that's been their biggest issue. That's what's cost them the games. And just looking at some of these games, we'll jump into it. 2 weeks ago, if you want to include the bye week, I guess you could call it 3 weeks. 2 games ago, Tennessee played Alabama for 3 quarters. They fought tooth and nail for 3 quarters. But they lost by 28. 28 points. They started out hot. They scored 14 points. I believe it was in the first quarter. They were up 14-7. And that's Tennessee's MO. That's their specialty is we're going to score on you right away. We're scoring on the first drive, we're scoring on the second drive, and we're going to see how you react to it. And a lot of times they've had success doing that. The problem is they can't seem to sustain that. So they got up to a lead on Alabama. They played tough for 3 quarters, and then Alabama just exploded in the fourth quarter, stopping Tennessee on all but 1 possession and scoring on every single possession that they had, and ended up blowing them out 52-24. You might score 24 points on UGA. That's not going to be enough to win. It's not even going to be close. And have you seen UGA's defense compared to Bama's? So that, I don't know. That's one. You lost to Ole Miss. I mean, it was a close game. It was 31-26. You only scored 26 points on Ole Miss. They don't have a good defense. 26 points. I'm starting to see a trend. You lost to Florida by 24. Now, I get that Florida's a different team now, or possibly even when UGA played them, even though they only played them 2 weeks after Tennessee did. You know, they're a little bit different team, so maybe that one gets thrown out the window. But you still lost to Florida by 24. So let's look at these offensive ranks. Well, UGA hasn't seen an offense like Tennessee this year. Really? Because their total offense ranks 21st. Any idea, and again, I know that it's a little bit different team than what it was 2 weeks ago, I guess. But any idea where Florida's offense ranks? Total offense. 16th. They scored 7 points. How about Arkansas? Arkansas ranks 22nd in the country in total offense. How many points did they score against UGA? How'd that work out? Scoring offense. Tennessee's 15th. Oddly enough, guess who's number 14? That's right. UGA has a higher scoring offense than Tennessee. But then this is where the major differences are between Georgia and Tennessee, and the defenses that Tennessee has faced and had some success on is the defensive rankings. UGA total defense ranks second overall in yards per game. They rank second in passing yards per game. I believe they rank second in rushing yards per game. And I mean, in every defensive category that is out there, UGA pretty much ranks number 1 or number 2 in every single category. By far and away, though, they are the number 1 scoring defense in the country, averaging 6 points per game. Tennessee's giving up over 28 points per game. So, you know, those are just stats, and maybe they mean absolutely nothing, and somehow Tennessee fans just know that Tennessee is going to have the game of their lives, and they are somehow going to stick with UGA and win in a barn-burning shootout through 4 quarters. I've seen people state that Tennessee was going to win 55-0.
55-50.
Our defense hasn't given up 55 points in 9 games combined. And you think you're going to score 55 points? I honestly, I don't know. I have no idea where this wave of confidence is coming from, because you're beating up on Mizzou and South Carolina, and you get a sneaky win, a 3-point win against Kentucky. Wow. I think that Tennessee is going to score the most points on UGA this season, but I thought the same thing against Florida, and Florida scored 7. 7! So, again, I'm going to go back to it. I think Tennessee scores the most points in this game than UGA has given up all season. But I also think UGA could potentially score more points than they have the entire season, which currently sits at 56, or 62, I'm sorry, against Vandy. It probably won't get that high. But I do see Tennessee having some success. For whatever reason, over the past 6-7 weeks, maybe not even that long, 5-6 weeks, UGA has had a tough time coming out of the gate fast, which was not the case in weeks like 2, 3, 4, when they were scoring, 21 to 35 points in the first quarter, and were beating teams by 5 touchdowns at halftime. That has gone away, and UGA seems to be starting the first quarter very slow, but then they usually pick it up in the second, and we're still up by 3 or 4 touchdowns heading into halftime in basically every game that we've played. So it's going to be interesting to see, with Tennessee being that hot start team, and they've had success with that really all season, can UGA match that? And as long as UGA can match that and they don't fall behind like 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, there's really no reason to be concerned with this game. And if that happens, then JT Daniels comes in and Georgia fans are happy. But again, I think Tennessee is going to score. I think they're going to have some success with the deep ball. Nobody has really tried this year with the deep ball, and mostly that is because they don't have time. They don't have time for their receivers to get 40, 50 yards downfield because they're getting sacked. They're getting pressured, they're getting flushed out of the pocket, and they've got to run it for 5 or 6 yards instead of throwing it for 50. That's not going to change, but maybe they have some success on hitting a couple of those deep balls. Would not be surprised if Tennessee scored, 20, 24 points, possibly even 28. That would be a huge success for Tennessee and a huge letdown for the UGA defense if Tennessee was to score 28 points. I don't know that they get there. I could see it happening, but I don't think that they get there. I think that they could score 14 first half points, and then UGA shuts it down and maybe only allows a field goal in the second half, if anything. So I'm gonna put a prediction on the score here, and it really, it's gonna be close as far as that spread goes, with a 20-point spread on the road at Neyland Stadium. Tough place to play. Hard to say if UGA is going to cover a 20-point spread. I could see a 17-point game. I could see a 14-point game. I could see a 35-point game all over the board here. But UGA has been so dominant this season. They are so focused on getting to the college football playoff that I don't think that this is a trap game. I do not think that UGA stumbles, and I do think that UGA ends up covering and blowing Tennessee out 44-17. Thanks for watching. Go Dogs.